Welcome to the Fit Affiliate Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Kirkman, and sitting alongside me is Tony Ronke, the founder of Fit Affiliate and all-round CrossFit OG. The mission of Fit Affiliate is very simple: protect the affiliate model. Our sole purpose is to help affiliate owners and coaches attain freedom. We aren't here to tell you what to do, but to instead build your ability to believe in yourselves. Enjoy the show. And welcome back to the next episode of the Fit Affiliate Podcast. Solo today without Tony, but I am very excited to have a special guest with us today, the one and only Julie Brewster, who, if you are familiar with the CrossFit Affiliates Northeast socials, will have seen a bit of content about you in the last little bit regarding the amazing work that you're doing around breast cancer and survivors and those who are going through their treatments, but also your work, you know, as the proud owner, I can tell that from a mile away, of BayState CrossFit. But there's a whole heap of things we want to get to dig into. But firstly, thanks for jumping on for a chat today.
Yes, no, I appreciate. Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I was flattered to have you reach out, and I am more than happy to share my stories and reach out in hopes to help the next person.
Yeah.
I started CrossFit in 2014. My son, I have 3 children, and my youngest was 1, and I was at the stage where I said, I'm ready to get me back. I've already been a mom for all these years, and I think a lot of people go through that, and then you all of a sudden are like, oh, I'm a little older now, or a lot older. Why don't I stop paying for soccer and gymnastics and t-ball, and why don't I invest in myself so then I can have the longevity to be a better human and mom and be able to be healthy for my kids as they're growing older.
And that's a really hard thing, isn't it, for mums to often do that, is to go put yourself first. And, you know, many mums, I know in my journey in owning my affiliate, they'd come in and they're like, oh, but I feel guilty about taking an hour out to train or paying for the membership. It's like, why are you less important than anyone else in your family circle? If anything, you're probably the linchpin. So we 100%. Need you to be at your best. And, you know, that's a good realization, I guess, that you came to. That's like, not only I want to do something for me, but I need to do something for me.
I do. And I think that I see a lot of women come in and they do exactly what you said. They feel bad. But then what I typically will tell women, and I think that we have a higher ratio of women opposed to men. And I think being a women business owner, that tends to happen because I have a friend, oh, hey, come on, or I saw you at the PTA, come on in. So we do have a huge influx of women, especially in the morning. But what I always tell them is, I said, hey, just come in and try it once or twice. I don't want to talk about money. I just want you to see if you can make this work for your schedule, you know, and our busiest class time is 9:15. And people say, oh, it's not on the hour. I said, no, it's based around the bus schedule for the kids.
Yeah.
Because we all are trying to get it all done, right? So we have 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and then there's a 9:15. So that's based around the bus schedule. Let's make it appropriate timing so you can get in there and give yourself that hour that you deserve, you know?
And it's funny, I had a 5, 6, 7 a.m. and an 8:45 because that was school drop-off was 8:30. 9 o'clock felt too late for them to get there, but 8:45 was a sweet spot. We're like, okay.
Correct, yeah,
let's do 8:45. There's no rules, is there? But it worked for the mums who could go, oh, well, I can drop off and I don't then have to hang around an hour for class. We used to do 9:30.
Yeah.
Just cruise straight in the car park, and it's perfect. And it's funny, I've never actually heard another affiliate owner talk about why their mid-morning class was set at the time it was. And it's I know that's why I did it, and it's fun to hear somebody else have exactly the same reasoning, because that works for lifestyle.
It does, because it was at 9 o'clock and then everybody would shuttle in at 9:08, 9:11, you know? So I'm like, you know what? We're just changing it to 9:15. All right.
Yeah.
We've got to do what works. And it's nice, you know? And it's a great community. Once I started working out, it only took me, I want to say, like 2-3 classes, and I was instantly hooked. My background was in track, running, and gymnastics. And so to find a sport when you're an adult, usually women just go for a walk or go for a jog. But to find something like CrossFit, you can actually get better at something, and that's kind of neat. You know, when you're a little kid, you're like, all right, I'm getting good at swinging the bat. Now I'm getting really good. Now I'm hitting home runs. But as an adult, you're like, I'll go to, yoga and stretch and feel good for my body, so with CrossFit, for me, I was like, wow, I can see myself improving in things, and it doesn't matter if I can do what the next person can or cannot. So everybody has their own journey. Some people just want to be able to squat well and feel good walking up and down stairs all day and not feel fatigued. Some people want to get the ring muscle up. So it doesn't really matter. What matters is you're not sitting on the couch having bonbons. And this is what I always tell the girls. They'll say,
and it's really funny when you watch the women come in and you're talking about that, being able to have learn new things and I guess have constant achievements. I'm always improving, so often. And you would clearly have seen this, is when women come in, they're like scared to grab the barbell because, in your traditional Globo gym, the bros are down in the squat racks and you go down there and they're like, are you lost? And it's like, but then you go, no, it's okay. And suddenly after, maybe a month, maybe two, you see that switch flick and they're throwing the big girl plates on and they get this thing and like, this is cool and this is fun. And at first they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do the barbell. And it's like, well, cool, we can ease into it. And then they're like just owning it, just, this is what I'm doing and loving it.
I want a heavy one so I can drop it. I want, and it's so empowering, especially for women, I feel like, to have that. And then to have that personal goal. That's what I really enjoy seeing people that have that personal goal. Like you said, they came in, they didn't know what to do with a barbell. And now, now they can snatch a barbell. And that's huge. And
it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, it is absolutely. When you see that and that light goes on and you see that smile and you're like, they've had the biggest win they've probably had in years, apart from, having their kids or whatever it is.
Yeah. And for me as a coach, I watch them and it's almost like watching my child walk for the first time or taking these milestones, because everybody that I coach, I enjoy their milestones so much. I encourage it. I celebrate it. And I think that's what gives us that great community feel. You want to go somewhere where you feel good.
100%. And it's that, and we say that in CrossFit, it's about the community, but till you experience it, and everyone's community is different, unique to them. And every class within your schedule has its own community and vibe. Like, my 8:45 was very different to my 4:30 p.m. and very different to my 5 a.m.
I was going to say the 5 a.m. Yeah, of course. And I like when they get together on a Saturday and they're like, who are you? Who are you?
Yeah.
When the world collide on a Saturday.
And I partner them up. Yeah. Yep. And it's, so, you started CrossFit and after a few sessions, you're like, yep, this makes me feel good.
Yeah. And after, not even once I understood the movements, because it is like you're walking in and it's like, all right, I don't know German, but I guess I'm learning it. No one understands all the lingo. Once I was super comfortable with it, I said, well, I want my L1. I want to help other people. I want to learn more. And then that just progressed. I started coaching. The affiliate owner was currently going to stop and move to California. So I had a great opportunity to snatch the gym from him. No pun intended there. The landlord was doing other things with the building, so I had to move it. So the community got together in 2018 and we had like 9 days to find a space and move it and get it all done. And we did. And it was awesome. And it's flourished and it's grown. And then ironically, I told you that story. We're actually moving again this weekend to a bigger space, 500 yards away. So tomorrow's workout is called the Heavy Haulers. There's an RX and scale division, and they're just going to be loading up cars and moving everything over. But again, the amount of people that come together to do that, it's like, this is their family. They want to, build a good spot. It's awesome. Really
and
awesome.
Isn't that amazing? I remember, when I bought the gym that I was working at, similar thing, the owner wanted out. And then she's like, okay, well, you take over from this date, but the lease is up the next week. Like, you've got to, go somewhere. And we literally found it. We'd been doing stuff in a park, I think, for about a week. And 5 p.m. on a Thursday night, I got the call to say, hey, you've got a shed. And the community just turned up the next day and we loaded everything onto trucks and cars. And those founding members who are part of that took such pride and ownership, and we're creating a new space, and they're like,
Yes.
and then when we expanded into a bigger shed, like, they all came down, can I help lay the flooring, and can we do this, and can we, people were vacuuming the cement before we put down the new flooring.
Right. Yes.
Can
you send them to me? What are they doing this weekend? I mean, it's only like a 17-hour flight, right?
Yeah, it's fine. But it's that community. And that we often say that being an affiliate owner can be the loneliest seat in the planet at times, but also you're surrounded by so much awesomeness when the tribe pulls together and everyone's heading in that same direction. It's so powerful.
And one of the biggest examples of that was in 2020, the world shut down. We're in the middle of, COVID and lockdown. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was almost more too overwhelming to see the love and support that came from the members. Because once the gym was opened up again for a small bit of the way, I know it was different all over. We were closed at the beginning. They let us reopen. I think it was like August. I had surgery in August. I didn't even have to worry about a thing. I had members that would stop by my house and say, don't worry about the gym. I bought toilet paper. It's all set. I did paper towels. I got new whiteboard markers, or the fridge is filled with water because they know I come from a restaurant background, and I'm like, the fridge needs to be full. Everything needs to be labeled forward. And I would have, and just the amount of people that stepped forward to help in every way, shape, and form. That's what makes a community, and that's what makes a safe spot for everybody within the gym. And they want to come back.
And that's the truly the essence of the power of CrossFit. We had Nicole Carroll on recently for an interview or a chat, not really an interview, but she was saying that the companies that try and imitate and replicate what we do, they don't have stories coming like that out of their businesses. They don't have stories, say, what we're seeing from Dale King, with his helping people recover from opioid, addictions and going through the recovery. Those are stories that they don't experience. Like, they can do the movements and make people sweat and have a group of people, but it's, they're not all banding together and doing these things. And during like the pandemic, like, I know for me, one of the hardest things was when I had to do a video for our members and say, listen, like, I need you to stick with me. Otherwise, there'll be nothing to come back to. And it felt really hard to have to say that. And then, the members are like, don't stop billing me. Just, and, we gave them the gear and we did all the things, but members were like, yeah, I want to come back here. And then your tribe has then had the other, layer on where, their leader has had major life altering news and something, it's incomprehensible to have to deal with that on top of everything else. And then they've gone, cool, well, we can cover you for that too.
Right.
Like, whatever you need.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And that's not coming from other Globo or imitations. That's truly the beauty of the CrossFit affiliate model. And this is why I wanted to bring you on the podcast today, is like, your journey is quite extraordinary through starting CrossFit, coaching, owning an affiliate, and then pandemic time, plus then your own individual health journey, and now coming out the other side and using all of that stuff as such a force to then want to positively impact and help other people, struggling with the same thing. So I thought, you had a really important and powerful story to tell, but it also highlights the power of what we do in CrossFit, as in, building that family and community. So when somebody comes in, they go, wow, this is something bigger than me, and I want to be part of that.
It is. You're absolutely right. And that's what I want people to feel every time they walk through the door. There's no birthday that goes unmissed. There's no celebration in someone's life. It really is like a second home to almost all of our members, and it's just a great, I have people that say, this is my safe place. This is my outlet. Like, I come here, I can talk, I can chat, I can feel good, I can get a workout on, and I know I can always lean on anybody here, you know? And in that COVID time, I remember I was so eager to get back, although so for 6 weeks, I wasn't allowed to put my hands over my head. And it was a very frightening time because the gymnastics portion of CrossFit's one of my favorites, pull-ups, bar muscle ups. So I like those. So to know that I had T-Rex arms, literally for 6 weeks, I came back into the gym. I wanted to coach. So I would remember having a dowel, and there would always be someone in front of me. And I would say, you know, like, we're going to clean it or whatever, and then dip. And then I would stop here, and everybody would stop here with their barbell. I'm like, no, 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 you're going overhead. You're going overhead. I'm stopping here. You're going to keep going. And it was great to be back. You know, it was a little exhausting, but it was really fun because we started to just have one person that would stand in front of me, and then we would talk about, like, oh, was that perfect? Should we change anything? So it really added this little extra component to class, which was fun. And because I had to have 2 subsequent surgeries, I then was back at the T-Rex arms again and again.
Like, guys, you know the drill.
It is. I'm like, they know. And I remember the one thing for me was I just wanted to find someone like me who's doing CrossFit that is dealing with this. And I'm like, all right, I went right to barbells to boobs, right? That's what everybody knows. But I couldn't really find what I was looking for. I just wanted to connect with, like, someone else. Like, can someone call me, text me, who does
And
CrossFit,
say, me too.
have gone through it? That's what I wanted. And and fast forward to where I am today, that's who I'm becoming for others. But in the interim, I had gone through it. And, you know, if someone has a child for the first time, they feel special. But the doctor's like, oh, yep, you're fine, you're this, you're that, because they see it all the time. Cancer's the same way. Hey, it's my first time having cancer, hopefully my last. And your oncologist and your doctor, they see it every single day in, day out. So for them, they're like, you know, this and this and this. So to get a more personalized approach, I couldn't find that. And I remember just wanting somebody to be like, hey, it's going to be okay. I know you're like this, but someday you can hang from the bar. And hanging from the bar for the first time was very scary for me. For whatever reason, I felt like I was going to split open. It was very scary. And I'm not really afraid of anything. And going forward, I have been open about my entire journey. Like, women, I'm like, yep, I can show you photos. Here's what it looked like. Like, you're going through it, let me show you. Like, you don't have to be scared. I'll tell you what I know, what worked for me. And because I was so open, many people would say, Julie, will you talk to this person? Will you talk? My friend, you know, especially I'm in my 40s. That's when it typically happens for most women in their 40s, right? So in my friend group, that's where people were coming from all angles. I've spoken to dozens and dozens and dozens of women. And what I did was when I was first diagnosed, I remember getting this package at my door, and I was like, what is this? And I opened it, and it was a little bit of some burn cream, and it was a candle, and it was a little book, and it was a little natural, and it was all, I was like, that is so nice. Like, wow, I'm going through all this, and someone just sent me something. And then, of course, as things progressed, it just never stopped. So for me, I was like, well, I want to be that person that gives somebody else that smile. Like, hey, you have cancer, but you're not going to die. It's going to be okay. It's going to be a long road, but there's people that will help. And so what I started doing was just putting together this box of all the things that were super helpful to me. The doctors had given me, like, a list. This is what you need. But then I took that list and I personalized it. All right, well, you need a bedside table. You need tape because you want to tape your phone charger to that because it's going to drop and you can't move your hand. So all these things that were more specific to currently going through it. And then I would send out packages to the women that I was speaking with. Hey, what's your address, by the way? You know, and I would send them out the button down tank top, but then long sleeve because you get hot, you get cold. And I call it my boob voyage package.
That's awesome.
Because you've got to make
It's a journey.
Fun. It's a journey, and you know, you've got to laugh through it because you can't change it. You can't change it. You can only get through it. So you can get through it by crying every day, or by doing a little bit of today I was upset, but tomorrow I was laughing. And you know, for me, I was laughing the whole way.
But I think
that's how I deal with it. But everyone's
some of
different.
your and you know, you're gonna have those crests and the downs and the ups, and it's like, okay, how do we navigate this as best we can? But I think, you know, your journey shows a great example of the power of being vulnerable, which it's hard to do. It's hard. Like, you know, not having been through, a journey similar to yours, but, even in that pandemic time, having to ask for help and accept help as an affiliate owner and go, I can't do this without you guys. It's hard to be vulnerable and say, hey, I need a hand. And also, hey, this is where I'm at. But you have embraced that and said, well, this is my story. I can't change it. This is what I'm going through. Like, yeah, I can't put the PVC overhead, but I'm going to still come and coach you. But, there's not talking about it's not going to change it. And being open to also receiving that help for you, like seeking it out, but also receiving that help and understanding. And we've talked a lot here on this podcast that, our goal here at Fit Affiliate is to be the person for an affiliate owner that we needed in our journey that we didn't have at that time. And so that when things are hard, they've got that person in their corner. But that requires vulnerability on the behalf of the coach or the affiliate owner to go, you know what? Things are hard. I'm struggling. So is embracing that vulnerability a natural thing for you, or is that something that you like had to manually kind of go, well, I'm just going to have to put it out there?
No, it's so natural to me. I'm always out there, like
Yep.
from the get go, and going through reconstruction and then getting like tattoos. Because one thing I would always mention to people, because they don't realize, like, you lose your nipples, and some people are like, really? I was like, yeah, like, you don't really know that. And then they're like, isn't that awful? I'm like, actually, keeping cancer in my body would be awful. So, like, whatever. I use them. I had 3 babies. I nurse them. Their job is done.
Yep.
And so for me, I was always open about my reconstruction. And I was like, no, I'm 47 now. So I was 45 or 45. Yeah, because I'll be 48. And I was like, wow, I'm a 45-year-old single woman. Like, you damn straight, I'm having some reconstruction here. Some mommy makeover we all wanted. So I just enlightened the mood,
Yep.
And then
Yep.
that always brought other women to talk to me. And I just spoke with a woman. She had her surgery Monday. And she was like, before I talked to you, I was hyperventilating every day. She goes, and I'm now actually laughing. And I said, Jen, that's what it's all about. You can't change it. It's going to be okay. And be grateful they found it, because this is one cancer that can be cured, So be grateful that they found it and they're taking it out of you. And whatever it takes for them to do that shouldn't matter, because you're going to be here for your kids. She has 4 kids.
And it's there is so much documentation on treatments and things about the mindset and your approach. So if you can be as positive as you can, even though it feels like you're walking through hell, if you can find those things to keep you buoyant and elevate you, that releases all those good hormones, all those good things which do heal us inside, even when we're not aware of it. So the more of that you can have, it's so powerful, rather than sitting in there going, well, this is it. This is it. It's all done. No, it's not. And there are still things that, even in the worst of times, there's still something to smile about. There's still something to be grateful for. There's still something to find joy in, if you really look for it. And sometimes it's someone like you on the outside who brings that.
Yeah, thank you. And I do feel like that it could go either way, right? And me personally, with everything, I always look, well, it could be worse. I could have had, stage 4 colon cancer and had 6 months to live. So I always looked at it as, hey, I found it on my own. I had 5 mammograms. I was at the pool when we all should have been in school and at work, but because of the pandemic. So I'm like, all right, well, good thing the pandemic was there, or I may not have found it until my next mammogram, which would have been 6 months later. And I was adjusting my swimsuit, and I felt something actually in between my breasts that felt like a marble. And the funny thing is, I decided to do all strict movements in COVID. I'm like, I'm only going to do strict pull-ups and strict handstand push-ups and tons of, regular strict pull-ups, push-ups. And so I thought I had a knot, like when you get a knot in your shoulder and you squish it. So I remember trying to squish it. And I was like, oh, I must have done way too many push-ups thinking it was a knot. And it was not. But I looked at it like, all right, well, at least I found it, right? Because 5 mammograms didn't. So you never know what's going to happen.
Well, they're not necessarily looking at that spot there.
No, and that's what was
it's
weird.
focused on the breast,
right? But I did have
Yep.
9 cancerous tumors all within my left breast after that.
Yeah.
But again, they were small. So with dense breasts, they're like, oh, you have dense breasts. Okay. Well, so now I've educated other women like, oh, if you hear it, ask for an ultrasound because you can see a lot more. Because in my ultrasound, one guy was like, oh, and then he called someone else in and they were like, oh. And then the third person, she was like, oh. And then she's like, are you okay, honey? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I be okay? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like
You,
nobody
you all
told me
look
what was
worse
going
than
on.
me.
They
Yeah.
just kept like, and then and this was me just having an ultrasound of my breast, having no idea. And then she's like, are you going to be okay? I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not in pain. Like, should I not be okay? And then there was like, cancer. I was like, oh, do I have cancer? She's like,
Yeah.
well, we don't know what's going on, but there's some abnormal. I'm like, so, and there, of course, no one's allowed to tell you. You have to wait. You have to this. So that's a slightly torturous process that I think what happens is you're told you have cancer, or maybe you do, but they can't tell you yet. I think what freaks people out is they're like, oh, get it out. It's breast cancer. Well, for the most part, most breast cancers, because there's many kinds, are slow growing. So like you didn't take it out that day, you didn't take it out that month. That's okay. It took this long to grow. But I didn't understand all those things. I knew nothing. Now I feel like I'm a semi-expert in breast cancer in layman's terms, which I think is important for the average person to understand in layman's terms.
You've got, 5 people sitting in a room going, oh, which, you don't know what any of that means. Whereas, you can make it's way less daunting when someone can explain it to you in everyday terms. You're like, oh, that's actually not a scary monster. It's just like the pile of clothes in the corner. It's not, it's,
I love
it's that's okay. And it's like, okay, that's less scary now because I understand it in my terms.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's the beauty of what we do in CrossFit is, the snatch is one of the most nuanced technical movements we have, but we can get Grandma Betty doing it at 98 and, toddler Tommy doing it at 4 with PVC because we can teach it to them and break down the complexities. We're not talking about the power to weight ratio and the speed of the hips and we just talk to them in ways so that perfectly equip you with those skills to go, well, here's this other big, scary, complex thing. I'm just going to break it down like I've done everything else in my career as a coach.
I love how you just connected that. You're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't think I realized I was doing that. I love how you put those things.
It's just it's funny when people say, I'm just a coach, or you're like, but are you? Because the skill set that we have allows us to deploy that to so many other aspects in life that are going to get better outcomes that go beyond burpees and thrusters.
Yep.
And, you're essentially coaching, cheerleading, these women through their journeys when they need it most, as well as making it less scary and less intimidating when everything that they read is all, scientific and doom and gloom and, all they hear is numbers of, how many people didn't make it. And it's like, yeah, but let's look at the other data. Like I'm standing in front of you right now. Like this is cold, hard facts. Like,
correct.
Let's break it down. Like, but also being honest in the journey, I think is helpful. Like it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to be worth it. And
it's going to be a journey too, because people have said after my 3rd surgery, oh, you so glad it's over? It's never over because I still go for I call it regularly scheduled maintenance. I'm still on, because I was hormone positive. So I'm still on those hormone suppressants to not let the estrogen in my body, which fueled my particular cancer, which is also popular cancer. But that's what I say. I said, this is part of your life and that's okay. It's just, you have to look at it in pieces. The woman I spoke with said, well, what they said, I might need radiation or I said, you just have to take it a step at a time. You just had surgery on Monday. So the only thing you need to do is concentrate on resting your body and letting it, because whether you have radiation or not, you can't control it. So you can control on how you react. If you freak out, it's going to be longer for you to start to feel better, So like you said, you coach them along in the different ways. And I'm not going to show you the entire snatch and tell you every little technical detail. we're going to break it in pieces. So
Mm.
don't worry about chemo right now. Don't worry about how you're going to get through Christmas. It's
Mm.
just you take a day at a time.
Yeah,
And
and day, minute, hour, whatever you need to do. But how can I be my best in this particular moment with whatever's happening, and then worry about the next thing? I listened to a really interesting or read a book from a guy, Ant Middleton. He's a former special ops operator from the UK, and he wrote a book about how they talk about controlling the 1 meter that they're in. So, they're in the midst of battle. They're about to go and do some operation, and there's chaos all around them. It's like, okay, what's happening in the 1 meter square around me? Am I okay? Is everything okay? Great, good. I'm not going to worry about the next 3 meters up because I'm not in that. I can only be completely deal with the meter I'm in now. And he talks about staying in and as a way of keeping you present. And that's always resonated with me, because even like members would come to class and they're freaking out about a workout and like, oh yeah, but what if I get to this? It's like, well, let's worry about that when you get there. Like, let's just start. Don't worry about the round of 12 before you've even done the round of 3. Like, let's just start and then focus on the thing that you can control right now, which is that here's the 1 meter square that I'm in right now. So it's like the women on those journey. It's like, here's where I am right now. I need to work with this, and then the rest of the things I will deal with that when I get to that square.
Yeah, and it makes overall it can calm you, even because I feel like it gets overwhelming when you're looking at too much at the same time.
Well, as humans, we like to control things, don't we? We want to have control, and there's nothing that makes you feel more out of control than something medical, for a start, because you're like, my body's doing all this shit, and I've got these people poking and prodding me, and I feel like I'm just being told what to do or where to be. And when we start to look for something to control, we can either focus on the smallest detail, or we could just drop the ball altogether, because we're like, I have no control, I give up. I'm just going to
and that's interesting you were saying about the control, because one thing that I really hone into people is you are in control of what happens to you, in the sense of your surgeon, your treatment. One woman I spoke with a few weeks back, she was like, the guy that was going to do my reconstruction, I didn't like him. I said, pick someone else. She's like, what do you mean? I said, you can just go pick someone else. Have a second. It's kind of like if you were getting married and your wedding photographer was someone you hated. Why do you want them photographing you all day when you're supposed to be happy? So if you don't like the person that is going to surgically cut into you because you don't mesh with, no, you want someone that makes you feel good. And she ended up getting a second opinion at Dana-Farber, and she said, thank you so much. She goes, I just felt like I was at my doctor, then I was at my local hospital, and then that was what I was supposed to do. I said, no. I said,
you're given a name. Oh, I'm supposed to use this person. Well, no, you can still take ownership of that process.
So you can control your own advocate to a point. I mean, you can't cut yourself open and remove the cancer, but you can control, certain things. And I think that made a lot of people I spoke with better, because they just didn't know. But I didn't know either. My dad had lymphoma, and he was the one. And he said, my parents said, what do you want us to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know what to do. And my dad said, well, I'm going to call Dana-Farber in Boston. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, Lisa. That's just one of the biggest cancer institutes in the Northeast. It's like the best of the best in Boston. So I said, and in my mind, I was like, I'm a single mom of 3. I don't want to drive like 45 minutes to Boston. Plus there's always traffic. And my dad said, Julie, what if you lived 7 states away and the best you could do is go to Boston, because that's what people do? He goes, you're less than an hour. And he was right, because the care that I received out of the gate, I was like, this is a game changer. So I'm glad I got a second opinion. Not that there's anything wrong with my local hospital. It wasn't for me. And I'm super grateful that he took the reins. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, can you just make me an appointment, Dad? Like, I don't know what to do with the gym. I'm also a wedding and event planner, so that I have a couple things. That's why
so you're a planner.
Yeah, I'm a planner. So I was like, I don't know what to do with events. I don't know what to do with the gym. I don't know, like, just make my appointment. And he did.
Yep.
And he found me a great team, and I hit it off with them instantly. And one of them, I'm actually planning her wedding next year. That's how
there you go.
That's how much we hit it off. But yes, you can be your own advocate. And so the tying into how I'm fundraising, because I would
Mm,
give these boxes to women, and I would continue for the rest of my life, just out of the goodness of my heart, buy these
mm,
things and give them. But I started a women wad and wine, and I'm sure a lot of people have done nights like that.
mhm,
And then I would invite anyone in the gym, and then if you have a sister, a daughter, a mother, a grandmother, whoever you have, and we do
mm,
a partner workout. Um, and then I take donations for breast cancer, and
mm,
everything's free. So even if you've never gone, but your sister goes and you go for that night, it's free. I
mm.
offer wine. I just bring it. I own a bar
Yeah.
service as well, so I can bring the wine. And that's why my tagline at first was owner operator, Lisa, because I have a lot of no money to show for it yet, but I
I,
feel
th-
like eventually it'll come.
I think we need to change that to Superwoman, pretty much at the bottom. I
What
think
is the Chamber of Commerce calls me? What do they call me? Like a sneaky entrepreneur or something,
yeah,
psycho entrepreneur, something like that.
it's not
Um,
psycho
I don't
entrepreneur.
know what they call me, because we're always doing ribbon cutting. So they're like,
Serial,
oh, Julie's the guy. Cereal. That's what they call me, a
serial
serial
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
But
Um,
but I guess that speaks for your power and your energy. Is like, how can I use my skills and talents and passions to affect most good for people? So you do that with one element through the gym and through CrossFit, and we know the power of that. And by running the fundraising events you do through your affiliate, that you can use the power of the affiliate to help change the lives of people that may never necessarily come through the doors. And then you've got your other businesses that clearly that you're passionate about, like you have such a zest and passion for life, which I can pick up from just the other side of a screen, that would be amazing to somebody going through that journey of planning a wedding, or because there's a lot of uncertainty with that, and sometimes you feel like family want this and people want this, and you know you don't have control. And I think that's a common thing through this conversation that I've kind of just realized, is that through many of these things, whether you're embarking on a fitness journey, like a health battle journey, or even like a major life change like a wedding, you can feel like you don't have control because you don't know what you don't know. And having somebody in your corner to guide you and do it with a sense of fun and to give you some purpose and some accountability goes so far to making that much more enjoyable and much smoother, I guess. So I see you from over here that you're harnessing the power in each of your different entities to impact the world in different ways, but it's all coming together for this greater cause, which
it
is
is.
helping women on the hardest journey that they're going through
No,
when
it,
they need it
it
most.
really is. It's nice to connect it together because it brings a bigger crowd, and then the only person winning is whoever we're donating to. Well, I mean, we're all winning, but
Yeah.
you know, it brings a bigger crowd, which is really nice.
Mm,
And then I've recently, someone from my event planning side of my life said, "Oh, I saw what you're doing with the Women Wine and Wine. You know that I run multiple nonprofits for women. Can I help you start yours?" And I said, "Yes, because that I'm only going to
mm,
claim to be good at what I can make you a mean margarita, Lisa. I can teach you to clean and jerk all day, but I have no clue about starting a nonprofit. What do you do?"
mhm.
So we're starting. We're going to start that process in January, because right now,
Wow.
if people give donations, it's the honor system, and they know that
Yep.
I'm just going to be, you know, making a box
Doing
for
it.
the next
Yep.
woman. Yeah.
Yep.
And so we'll be starting once our new gym is all together this weekend. We should
Yep.
have our next Women Wine and Wine. And what I typically do is I'll just reach out to gyms in the area. Hey, a lot of them already know what I do. Do you want to have a night
Mhm.
for your women? It's no
Yep.
cost to you. Anybody
Yep.
can go, and we're just going to do a little fundraiser. We can raffle off some items. They can make it their own. I told them, you can coach it or I can coach it, whatever you want. And
Mhm.
it's a fun thing, because then I'm all about. I don't care about the competing CrossFit gyms in the area.
Yeah.
We're all a big family, and guess what?
Mm.
I'd go to the gym that's closest to my house or wherever my
Yeah.
best friend went. So I don't
Yeah.
feel, when we have three in a very close proximity where I am, and
Yeah.
that's great. Good. All the more people moving their bodies and getting to have a
And
little community.
isn't that a great take on that? There's so much scarcity at times in the CrossFit community these days. Back, when 10 years ago, if a new affiliate opened, people would go and help them with their opening and go and celebrate. Whereas now it's like, oh, they're close to me. I'm competing with them, and it's a whole thing. It's like I can't serve everybody, and not everybody will love my gym, and the people who love me won't love you. There's enough for all of us.
Yep. And I say that all the time, 100%.
And having that abundance mindset that we all lift each other up if we're all doing well, and remembering why CrossFit even exists, and that's to save and change lives. So if you're doing that and I'm doing that, that's not a bad thing. That doesn't make us enemies automatically.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. And that's one thing for me is I always want, like, hey, you guys come to our gym, or, one woman that I was speaking with, unfortunately, she's in New Jersey going through breast cancer. She's an affiliate owner. She has 2 gyms. And she's like, I just don't have anyone to coach. I said, you just need to call the affiliates near you, have them fill in, have them help. Like, people have got to help.
Be vulnerable.
And I said, I wish you were near me, because I would just be coaching for you all the time and not looking for anything other than knowing you can take a deep breath, But I do feel like the gyms come together. When I was going through my surgery, we had a few coaches from other gyms that came in and filled in the holes. And that's great. That's what it's all about,
Yeah. And we touched on that earlier, but the power of being vulnerable and asking for help, that you'll be, when you put it out there, you'll be blown away by what comes back. So I guess, as we look to sort of, put a pin in this one, but what I know that you're moving the gym this weekend, which was super exciting, and no doubt a bigger facility. You'll be able to do, way bigger functions and do more good. What else is on the horizon for you, that if people are interested in reaching out, connecting with you, seeing how they can either support what you do or be involved, whether they're near or far, what's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, anyone near, I'm happy to host a Women Wad and Wine at their affiliate. I mean, I'll drive up to an hour or so. I have a renovated horse trailer that turns into a bar. That's what we bring. So it's kind of a fun, and I feel like it's important too, if like the gym, if maybe they're not getting a good crowd for different things, it always brings a crowd. And again, I don't want any compensation for it, because for me, I'm one of those people that when I make other people feel good, it makes me feel even better. Okay. So that's the goal for me. So people can reach out. I think I can't see, I'm getting old. Does it say BayState CrossFit, Lisa?
Yeah, it says BayState CrossFit there, but I can put any links in the show notes as well.
Yeah,
so,
because my Instagram is at CrossFit and breast cancer, which is just has more of personal stories. But people can reach out, via Instagram or Facebook under BayState CrossFit. And if anybody, is looking to talk to someone one-on-one, I'm happy to share my number. If they're going through, a diagnosis or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to speak with them and just listen and find out how I can help.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have so enjoyed our chat today and getting to know the work that you're doing, and also learning a little bit more about your journey. And I'm super excited. I will include in the show notes any of the links, and I'll touch base with you offline to grab, any of those links. We'll put that in there. And if there's anything that we can do to help, certainly, reach out, because, this is a perfect example of, using the CrossFit model to impact lives, more than just, as I said, burpees and thrusters, which is why we're here. That's a greater why. Absolutely. So thank you, Julie.
The 2 worst ones, Lisa, the burpees and thrusters.
I know, but everyone identifies with it. So
no, I love it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me. It means a lot.
Thank you. And we will definitely have you back on again for another chat once you've moved and you've got your not-for-profit set up as well.
Yes, that'd be
definitely
great.
Keen to hear about that. Awesome.
Certainly.
All right, Julie, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please remember to like and subscribe on your favorite platform. And if you know an affiliate owner, a coach, or entrepreneur that would benefit from hearing our conversations, please share this with them. We love the feedback and support we have from you guys, our audience. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find all the useful links in the show notes. We would love to connect with you. Keep doing the great work.